Welcome to episode 5 of TJK Talks. I am with my two co-hosts, Trevor and Kent. Today we're going over week 5 and going over our week 6 predictions as well. Let's start off with the Friday game, the upset of the week, I believe. Florida State, number 8, going down to unranked Virginia. It was at Virginia. It was an insane double overtime game. 46-38 was the final. I actually we didn't do an official predictions on it. I actually kind of wish we did go over that game. But in my head, I had Florida State winning, and I would be.
I think we didn't go over it because we thought Florida State was going to have a win.
Right. We all just assumed that they would have the win. So I did go. I'm glad I didn't pick them though, because I did go undefeated on my picks this week. So if I didn't pick them, I would have lost the game. But that was an insane game. Florida State is obviously still a very good team, but they just had a fluke. I think they're too focused on this upcoming week on Miami, and they just weren't prepared.
Yeah, Virginia is a very dangerous team. They're definitely not on the bottom half of the ACC. I got a lot of respect for all the players that they brought back from last year and the work that they did in this season's, or this off season's rather, transfer portal. But yeah, they definitely were looking forward to the rivalry matchup versus Miami. And got to feel bad for Squirrel Williams as well, the wide receiver for Florida State. He got trampled by the field rush of the Virginia students. That was probably, I've been watching football for a decent while now, and that was probably the best field rush I've ever seen in my life. That was crazy. As soon as the play ended.
It was instant.
It was so fast.
On the field.
Yeah.
That receiver just got ran over.
That's just one of many reasons why we love college football and why we love talking about it. So that was a great day for a Friday. Overtime day as well. Were there two? I think there were 2 overtime games on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, and then 2 on Saturday.
I think there's a total of 5. There's a total of 5.
So three on Saturday, 2 on Friday.
Yeah.
Loaded week of college.
It was still a loaded week of college football. It was a great week of college football.
Yeah. There were a lot of games that could have gone to overtime too.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. A lot of, besides the overtime games, a lot of tight games as well. They ended in walk-off field goals, like USC losing to Illinois, or other games like maybe not game-winning touchdowns, but game-winning interceptions. That was an overtime game though. Yeah, great week.
Yeah. Speaking of close games, our next game that we wanted to talk about was Penn State versus Oregon. Oregon ended up winning 30-24 in second overtime, and that was the game-winning interception that you were talking about.
Yeah, that was who got that interception again?
I can't remember, but I know that Drew Aller threw it.
Yeah, we know Drew Aller threw the interception.
Drew Aller sucks.
Yeah,
that was great. I mean, as OSU fans, we don't like either team, but we, at least me personally, I picked Oregon on the podcast, so I wanted them to win, and I was correct. Did you guys pick Penn State? I can't remember.
I picked Penn State.
Okay, they picked Penn State, I picked Oregon. So yeah, that was an insane game, like Ken said. Drew Aller threw a game-losing interception. Final score was 30-24. Overall, as an Ohio State fan, Oregon looks like our biggest threat, especially Dante Moore. He looks like the new clear Heisman favorite, especially that John Mateer is unfortunately out. It was overall just a very impressive win by Oregon.
Yeah,
I also, yeah, you're good. I also thought that when we were looking at the rankings, with Penn State losing here, I think that Indiana should be higher ahead of them for sure.
It definitely.
So honestly, literally, if you just flip these two, it makes more sense.
It's disrespectful to Indiana to have them ranked lower than Penn State. And there's one reason for that and one reason only, because Penn State is a bigger brand. That's literally it. Penn State is a bigger brand than Indiana, so they've been better for longer, so therefore they are going to assume that their past success is going to translate to this year's success, but that's just not how it works.
And then I also think that Oregon is definitely going to be in the Big Ten championship for sure. Their next biggest game is against Indiana, and that's it.
Yeah, Oregon does have a relatively easy Big Ten schedule. Like you said, they do have that game hosting Indiana in November, which I think is either early November or late October, but around that time, that's when they're gonna play, and that should be a rather good game. I think that it's gonna be one possession game, but I do have Oregon in the Big Ten championship facing Ohio State. Both of them maybe undefeated, maybe not. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. Oregon, like I said, biggest threat. The only other game I can see them losing besides Indiana is the rival Washington. Rivalry week, the last week of college football. As Ohio State fans, we know we were favored by
Anything can
damn
happen.
20 points last year and lost.
And Washington
so
has beaten Oregon 2 out of the last 3 times. So.
that's mentioned too. So like I said, anything can happen. So that is the only other game I can really see them losing. Other than that, I see them winning out, and I see them playing Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, I think whoever wins that Big Ten title ends up being the 1 seed in the college football playoff.
Couldn't agree more. The next game we wanted to go over is USC versus Illinois. We just briefly talked about that, or Trevor did more so with the game-winning field goal. The final score was 34-32 Illinois. I picked Illinois. They picked USC yet again. Not to brag, but a little bit. I did go perfect in my picks. It was an amazing game, though. That was very close. It
Very
honestly
close,
could have
yeah.
gone either way. I was definitely biting my nails, thinking USC was going to take
USC
that.
started to come back a little bit, and I really thought that it wasn't a game because Illinois had a pretty decent lead on them, but USC kept on clawing back, making that a very entertaining game. But yeah, it just choked right at the end.
Yeah, it was a great game. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, it was just back and forth. Especially after Illinois just got demolished last week by Indiana. But overall, Illinois got the game-winning kick to seal it off by a 2-point victory.
Yeah.
Also, Luke Altmaier had a great game. He had over 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. I'm surprised how close it was with him passing that well. So it shows that even though they did lose, USC's still pretty good.
Yeah, and Luke Altmaier is the only quarterback in the Big Ten to throw for over 1,000 yards without an interception. So Luke Altmaier is playing very efficient football, which is going to be very useful coming up in the months of October and November when they play back-to-back Big Ten teams. I've had a lot of faith in Luke Altmaier pretty much since the preseason. I watched him a lot last year, and I was watching that whole bowl game against South Carolina where him and the rest of the Illinois offense dominated. But yeah, I'm very high on Luke Altmaier, and I still think that he could maybe sneak into top 6 of the Heisman voting. Maybe even somehow get into New York.
Yeah, you've been a big fan of Luke Altmaier. You've had him as your MVP
Yeah,
2 weeks now.
I'm a very big Altmaier fan, I will say. I like him a lot. I like him a lot as a player.
He's a great player.
Ole Miss beat LSU with a late 4th down conversion, and my predictions with this game were pretty spot on. Sadly, they didn't hit the over though. I really wanted to see that happen. It would have been hilarious.
Oh, especially for the meme.
Yeah,
that would
for
have
the
been
memes.
awesome.
Also, I think that Ole Miss is gonna. My prediction is Ole Miss is winning the SEC. I'm saying it really, really early, but I think that Ole Miss is gonna
Yeah,
win
we
it.
have some laughing over here.
Yeah. What do you think, Trevor?
I don't know, man. I think the Ole Miss could win the SEC. I really don't think that. I don't think it's gonna happen, to be honest. I can only see them going so far. I've had my SEC championship prediction locked down for like a couple weeks now. I think it's going to be Georgia and Texas A&M. But I do think that Ole Miss is going to potentially make the playoffs, though. I just don't think that they're going to get into the SEC title, but very, very good team. Very, very good chance to make the playoffs as well. So if they could maybe go 10-2 with key wins over maybe going to Georgia, and they beat LSU already, so that's another, at the time, top 5 win. So, yeah, I think that if they could go 10-2 or higher, then Ole Miss could definitely make the playoffs, regardless if they make it to the SEC championship or not.
Yeah, it was a very impressive win for Ole Miss. I believe we all three predicted Ole Miss, if I'm not
Did we?
mistaken.
Yeah,
we all did. We all did.
three of
This
us.
is the one we actually all three agreed on. We all picked Ole Miss, not just because of the whole joke and Lane Kiffin's daughter, but I did genuinely think Ole Miss just had better talent and it was at their place.
They have more motion right now, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU has been playing pretty good. They just don't have enough volume where they're scoring enough points to be a better team.
It's crazy with LSU. The past few years, their offense has been star-studded with
Electrifying
Heisman winning quarterbacks and
Lots of receivers.
3 wide receivers. And this year, they still have that talent on the offense. It's just the fact that the offense was what was carrying them, and the defense was what was getting carried before. It's kind of like, are you the truck or are you the trailer that's getting pulled by the truck? The offense has been the truck pulling the trailer, and the defense has been the trailer getting pulled by the truck. But roles completely swapped this year. Their defense has been the reason that they've been able to stay in games. And even though they beat Clemson in week 1, that's not a very valuable win right now, but their defense balled out in that game. Their defense balled out against Florida as well, picking it off 5 times. So yeah, their defense is definitely the truck at this point.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just saying I agree.
Oh, yeah, no. It was a very impressive win, like I said. Overall, just great performance by Ole Miss. That risky 4th down conversion by Lane Kiffin was amazing.
Great execution.
That was great. Just overall great play, great game. I was very happy with that game, but this week in general was just amazing.
Again, we're going to talk about is the Bulldogs and the Crimson Tide facing off in what was an absolute instant classic with Ryan Williams' walk-off touchdown last year. This year it was another very competitive game. Had, I think, at least 10 million views during the game, so very good revenue there. And it's where you get whenever Alabama and Georgia play, 2 top dogs in the SEC, arguably the top 2 teams in the college football playoff era, but maybe not. Georgia's definitely top 3 in the CFP era, but you could definitely say Clemson is number 2, or Ohio State is number 3. You can argue either way, but another great game here. Simpson for Alabama went 24 for 38 with 276 passing yards. Absolutely locked in on this one. 2 passing touchdowns. No interceptions, very efficient, slinging the ball left and right. Looked very calm in the pocket out there. I think that Kalen DeBoer did a fabulous job in turning this team around from week 1's Florida State loss. I think that Alabama is a team that is potentially headed to the college football playoff if they keep this up. I think that they could afford maybe one more loss, and that would still only be their first loss in conference play.
Sure.
So they could still easily, with one loss in conference play, make it to the SEC championship, because getting to the conference championship, they look at conference standings and not actual record. But yeah, I do think that Alabama, especially if they were to lose one more game, sneak into the SEC championship, even lose it and have 3 losses, they're going to still put that Alabama team, the SEC runner-up, with 3 losses in the CFP. So again, when it comes to these things, unfortunately, you do have to look at brand name a little bit. Alabama is probably the best and most famous college football team of all time, and if the playoff had to choose between them or a group of 5 team to put in as that last spot, if they have very similar resumes or very similar rankings, then they're going to choose Alabama, because it would give them more views and more revenue in that college football playoff first round game. But I do think that Alabama is heading in a good direction regardless.
Yeah, I thought it was a great game, especially with them snapping the long home streak win that Georgia has. I do think that this was a very winnable game for Georgia. Even though I picked Alabama to win this game, the game that I watched, Georgia definitely could have won that game. I just think that they came in with a very bad game plan. I think that Mike Bobo the offensive coordinator for Georgia, played very safe, too safe. He had a lot of checkdowns, not throwing down the field enough, and Gunnar Stockton ran the ball like 1,000 times. I just thought they went into that game with a bad game plan, and then they could have won for sure, even though I picked Alabama.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say this game was another instant classic, just like last year, and I say that because, like Ken said, they snapped the 33-game home streak. It was amazing seeing that personally as an Ohio State fan. It was just nice watching the entire game. It felt pretty much just back and forth, but in the end, Alabama had possession for the last, I believe, 5 minutes of the game. They just ran the clock out and won the game. But it was a very entertaining watch. Again, one of several very entertaining games this week.
But another thing I wanted to mention is that Alabama did play a really good game, but I agree with Trevor that Alabama definitely could make the SEC championship. If they went out their schedule, they're easily top 5. But their schedule coming up ahead is very hard for them. I can see them losing. I mean, I can see them losing all the games, but I can also see them winning all the games, if that makes sense. They're all just very 50-50 games. They have Vanderbilt this week. They have LSU, Oklahoma.
They have Tennessee still.
Tennessee.
Auburn.
Auburn, their rival.
Yeah, LSU. You mentioned that.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
LSU, yeah.
Crazy schedule coming up. South Carolina, they're not on the top 25, but they were.
Yeah.
And they're still not a bad team.
And you never know. Upsets happen all the time. You never know. Week by week, you're always a different team.
Especially with the Norris Sanders.
Yeah, going back to what I said before about Alabama potentially losing one game and then making the SEC title. If they were to only lose one more game in the regular season, then they are in, regardless of what happens in the SEC championship. They could get blown out 70-0 by Texas A&M in the SEC championship and still be in the playoffs because of how many ranked teams they would beat back to back, even while losing one somewhere in there.
I mean, basically, it's these next couple weeks
Bro.
is a playoff run for them.
Yeah, no, the playoffs starts now for Alabama, and that can be a very good thing or a very bad thing. It could get them ready, playing hard, smash mouth football early, or it could tire them out, and by the time playoffs get there, they get smoked in the first round. But a lot of that depends on how the coaching is going and what kind of coaching scheme and regime Kalen DeBoer is leading over there in Tuscaloosa.
The final game we want to recap is Ohio State versus Washington. The final score was 24-6. The Buckeyes are now 4-0. In my opinion, offense was a little sloppy just because of the Brandon Innes fumble. I mean, that's more special teams, but then the 4th and 1, we didn't convert on that either. I do believe Ohio State was just being conservative with their play calling just because it's their first away game and you don't necessarily need to just pedal to the metal and just call every explosive play because if you still a win's a win at the end of the day. So, but I still do think that the defense is the best in the country. I mean, we are still averaging 5.5 points per game for the opponents, which is best in the country now. And we allowed Washington to only get 6. We still have no red zone touchdowns, and it is going into week 5, which I find it to be very impressive for the Buckeyes. They've let the opposing team score 7 points, 0 points, 9 points, and now 6 points. They have yet to even let up 10 points this season, which I find very impressive.
Yeah, what a day for Julian Sayin. 22 for 28, was it 2 touchdowns, no picks. Very, very productive, and I'm liking what I'm seeing a lot from this young quarterback. And, I just have to say it. I really have to say it. He reminds me a lot, not right now, but his potential and what he could be later this year or next year reminds me of Drew Brees. And I'm a Saints fan, so this just hits home with me.
Lazy.
Okay, just Julian Sayin just looks so cool in the pocket. His pocket presence, his quick release, I feel like he I feel like he takes inspiration from Drew Brees potentially, and okay. If I could see another Drew Brees type player in the NFL, it'd make me very happy. But yeah, it's been very rough for my Saints since Drew Brees has left. So
Yeah, I think Julian Sand really had his pop out game. To me, he looks like Tom Brady. I think he really reminds me of Tom Brady a lot. But yeah, over 200 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, great completion rating. I thought this was
the best completion percentage in America. Had to add that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
78.9%.
Yeah, it's like 79 something.
That's really good.
78.9, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just under 79% at 78.
Yeah.
I thought,
something like that.
Like, even though Julian Sane played Texas his first week, I thought that this week was really Julian Sane's like come out game, and this is like what we're really gonna see from him the rest of the year, and he's just gonna be consistent for us.
Yeah, Julian saying, I was so surprised by. I mean, I knew he was gonna do good, but I was just very surprised by how cool he looked out there. You know,
His composure, calm, collected.
In Seattle with the loud, threatening home field that they have. He just looked like it didn't phase him. They did have that one false start early in the game, but ever since then, it's been click after click after click after click after click. They did not miss a beat, or if they did, it was very, very rare. You know, if they could win this early in the season in Washington with that loud composure and be this composed.
Oh, and Washington had a 22-game winning streak at
Yes,
home.
we
I
did.
was also gonna
They-
say that.
They did snap that. Yeah, so Julian Sayin already has a lot of very good accomplishments this year, and he just started. He was the first quarterback in college football history to have their first starting game be against the number 1 AP poll team and win. So he was the first to ever do that, and now I mean, he has the best completion percentage in America, and he is looking very calm and composed in enemy territory, which could be useful for him on his last game of this regular season when they're in the enemy territory in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the biggest stadium in America. So I think that this was just a little appetizer for what is soon to come, but I like what I see. He doesn't seem phased.
Kent kind of stole my thunder there. I was gonna say that they also had a 22 game home streak. So the two biggest, Georgia and Washington, are now back down to 0 because Ohio State took down the Huskies.
The Dogs, I just realized
Both dogs went
went
down.
The Dogs, yeah. Huskies.
Both dogs had the highest winning streak at home, and they are both now at 0.
Yeah.
Now we're going to be going over our Week 6 predictions, and the first game we're going into is Texas versus Florida. Florida has had quite a disappointing season so far at 1-3. They just have not looked that good. Not really much else to say about them other than the defense has looked good. It's really just been their offense that's been bad. The only thing I can really say about them that looks good is your defense. That looks pretty solid, but I still think I'm going to take Texas to win 35-10.
Yeah, Texas and Florida are two relatively similar teams. Both of them had very hyped up quarterbacks to start the year, and both quarterbacks have, to their standards, underperformed so far. Both teams have a good defense, although I do think that Texas's defense does have an edge. They have a lot of 5 stars, and I think that Texas has a more experienced defense in general than Florida. But I do think that it's going to be a lower scoring game. Definitely choose the under on this one, but I would have Texas winning 16-10 in a swamp. It's a run heavy game, I would say.
So, I mean, Florida's had 3 straight losses. I think that them being at home is really nice for them, and I think that this is Lagway's bounce back game. And I have Florida beating Texas this week. I have them winning 24-13.
I am going to have to bounce off of what Ken says. If they do lose, that is going to make OSU look extremely bad.
Yeah, I was about to say
especially against the 1-3 Gators, because they played the number 1 team in week 1, as you guys know. if they lose to the Gators,
I mean,
I know it's a home
no top
game.
15 wins for Ohio State.
yeah.
It's also at home. Yes.
Yeah, so if I'm hoping your prediction's wrong, just for the case of Ohio State's resume.
We're still going to be number one, though. Next game we have is Vanderbilt versus Alabama. This is going to be in Tuscaloosa. I think that it's going to be a very good game. Both of them are ranked. And honestly, Vanderbilt should be ranked higher than Alabama currently. But I think that Diego Pavia is having a great season. He's looking like a solid quarterback. He's really turned this college around. They've been known to be pretty bad in past years, and this is like a huge thing for them. But other than that, also Alabama's missing 2 key linebackers this week. That's a big deal. But other than that, I think I still have Alabama winning. And I'm going to have this in a close game. Score prediction is 35-24 this week. I also got to remind everybody that Vanderbilt did beat Alabama last year, 35-30. So Alabama also has revenge on their mind from last year. So that's a big momentum going into the game.
Yeah, for sure. Last year, it was crazy for Alabama. They're in a very similar situation as they were last year. Because last year, Ryan Williams had that cinematic catch that got him put on the map for pretty much everybody against Georgia. And Alabama's win over Georgia in Tuscaloosa put them at number 1 in the AP poll. And then the very next game after Georgia, they played Vanderbilt, just like this year. And they went into that Vanderbilt game thinking they ran the country, thinking that they ran the SEC. And the confidence was too high, and Vanderbilt played smash mouth ground football with them, and ended up lowering the confidence a little bit, giving them a reality check. So I don't think that that's prone to happen again this year. I think that Alabama probably did learn their lesson. I think that Kalen DeBoer is a very good bounce back coach, especially as we can see with the start of this season, and especially last year as well. They started getting momentum toward the end of the year. Even though they did not make the playoffs, they still did have a good bounce back last year as well. I think that Carolyn DeBoer leads them out there, and even though I do like Diego Pavia a lot as a football player, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch in the country, just with how much of a warrior he is, how much smash mouth football he just doesn't care. Like, he'll do anything. He'll run it 100 times and get the win if he has to. And I just think it's going to be a really entertaining game, but I do have Alabama winning a kind of weird game again, probably like 35-27, one-score game.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, a very entertaining game. I'm looking forward to it, especially because Vanderbilt's unexpectedly good this year. And again, I do agree with both of them. Both of you guys saying that Vanderbilt should actually be ranked higher. They have actually kind of a better resume than some of the other teams who are ranked ahead of them. But with that, I do actually have Vanderbilt beating Alabama for the 2nd straight year. I think they end Alabama's sort of hot streak that they've been having, and I think Vanderbilt catches them by surprise and beats them in Tuscaloosa. The 3rd game we're going to be going over is Florida State versus Miami. It's going to be in Tallahassee, Florida, at Florida State. Unfortunately, it was going to be a higher ranked game, but due to the fact that Florida State lost to unranked Virginia, they dropped all the way to 18. However, I'm still looking forward to this game a lot. It should be very entertaining. It should be very useful to Florida State that it is at their place, especially coming off of a loss at Virginia. So that is actually why I'm going to take them to win this game in a very close one. I'm thinking it's going to be more of a defensive game, but I'll think 24-20, similar to the Alabama-Georgia game final. I just think Florida State is going to want to try to get not their revenge, but try to get a jump back since they just lost to Virginia and try to get back on their feet and start winning those games again. And I think Miami hasn't had a loss yet. I haven't seen a real opponent besides Florida, and Florida wasn't all that great, as we know. So I think that Florida State is going to take this win and give Miami U the first loss of the season.
Yeah, Florida State and Tommy Castellanos have been very fun to watch this year. I do think that Florida State is going to be prepared. They've been preparing for this game a little bit too early, as we could tell. Virginia caught them off guard. Florida State fell 10 entire spots in the AP poll, but it does not matter that much because if they do beat Miami, then they'll be right back on track in the ACC title race and the college football playoff race. And their schedule after that isn't that very hard at all. So if they were to have wins over Alabama, who would likely be in the college football playoff, and Miami, who would likely be in the college football playoff, very hard to consider Florida State out by the committee. I do think that, coming to my prediction of this game, I do think that Tommy Castellanos has over 250 all-purpose yards, we'll go 300. I think he has 300 all-purpose yards, most of them being rushing yards. I don't know exactly how much ratio-wise, but I think he's going to have more rushing yards, and I think that it's going to total to at least 300 total yards. And I think that Florida State walks out with the win. 31-28 walk-off field goal overtime.
I think that this game is going to be pretty good. I know that Florida State just lost, and this means that Florida State's in a must-win situation if they want to be in the playoffs. I do think that they are going to lose, though. I have Miami winning in a very close one. I have them winning 31-24. I think that Miami's going to have a really good ground and pound game plan for it with Mark Fletcher Jr. He's been really carrying the team in a way for like the past 2 or 3 games. And also Miami has great third down stopping ability. They're actually one of the highest in college football right now with a 27% conversion ratio. And I think that if they hold them on third downs and they do good on defense, I think the spread could be even bigger. But my prediction is 31-24, Miami.
Next game that we're going to do is the 4-1 Mississippi State Bulldogs traveling to College Station, Texas to take on the Texas A&M Aggies, ranked 6th in the AP poll. I think this is going to be a pretty exciting thriller game potentially. As we saw, Mississippi State is now capable of putting up thriller games with other SEC teams, unlike they have not been able to in the past. But new Mississippi State team here. I'm very excited to see what this game unpacks. I do think that both quarterbacks are going to play relatively well, but I don't think that we're going to see anything crazy. But both quarterbacks have over 1,000 passing yards with not that many interceptions combined between the two. But I do actually have this being a very close game. Yeah, I think this game is going to be very fun and very entertaining. I do think this is going to lead to a 4-point win for Texas A&M. I don't think there's that much of a talent gap between Mississippi State and Texas A&M. I do think that Texas A&M does have more talent and has enough to win this game 24-20. And I'd say they just run the clock out at the end.
Yeah, I think this should be a very entertaining game. Texas A&M has looked good, and honestly, even though Mississippi State isn't ranked, they do look pretty good. Their only loss being an overtime loss to Tennessee just last week. So I think it will be a close game. I still think I am going to pick Texas A&M to win 21-17, a very close game, but I do think the Aggies pull off the dub.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I do have Texas A&M winning, but I do think that this is going to be a pretty close game. I thought that both defenses are pretty good. They're both very, very good run-stopping teams. But I have Texas A&M winning overall. They're just a better team on offense. I have them winning 17-14. All right, next game we have is Ohio State versus Minnesota. I have this game being a blowout. I think Ohio State is going to destroy Minnesota. Their main piece is their running back on Minnesota's main piece is their running back, and he's questionable for this game. So if he gets ruled out, I have Ohio State winning by 50. If he is ruled in, I have him winning by 40.
I don't think it'll be as much of a blowout, just because I think the last couple of weeks OSU's been not slow on offense, but more, I guess, passive with how the plays they've been doing. The OU game, Ohio University game, being 37 points, and this last game being 24. I think the final score will be 41-7 Ohio State. So still multiple score game, but I don't think it's going to be an insane 50+ win or anything. It's anything insane like the Grambling State win where it's 70-0 or anything. But I think a solid 41-7, several touchdown win would definitely make sense for the Buckeyes on Saturday.
Yeah, I do think this is going to be a good kind of coming home party for Julian Sayin and the offense that did unexpectedly well in the tough environment of Washington. I think that this is going to be I wouldn't say absolute blowout, but I think that Ohio State is going to be in control of this game from the second that the kickoff happens all the way until the clocks hit 0. So I do have Ohio State winning this game 45-10, and Minnesota ends up being the first team all year to put up 10 points to Ohio State.
Bold prediction, but honestly, I like it. I mean, it is week 5, and there does come a time where that does have to happen. I would love for that to be wrong, but I do think that if a team is to do it, it is going to be Minnesota. I agree with you there.
All right, and then last game of the day, we have Ohio University versus Ball State. Ohio University's been playing pretty freaking well. I have them winning this week again to Ball State. And Ball State, low-key just sucks in the back. They're historically bad. My final score prediction for the game is 41-10.
I'm going to have to agree with Kent here. Ohio University has been playing pretty good football, I'll have to say, and you're also right about Ball State being historically bad. They've never really just been an impressive team, especially being in the conference like the MAC. They've never really performed well. I have Ohio University easily winning this game. I am going to pick them to win 37-14.
Yeah, I also agree with the fact that Ohio has been playing very well to their standard, and I think that Ohio goes into this game a little bit cocky, and I have Ball State winning this game 45-17. And I think Parker Navarro throws 1 pick six and 3 interceptions total in a game where it gets very ugly, and you got to remind yourself that it's MACtion, anything can happen. So can't count any team out in the MAC. There's not that's what is interesting about the MAC is there's not really a talent gap between teams. So if you're at the top of the MAC, you really aren't that safe as you think you are. So I do think that Ball State catches them lacking.
Terrible take.
Terrible take. That does it for episode 5 of TJK Talks. Tune in next week to see our reactions for this week and our predictions for week 7. Make sure to like,
comment,
Subscribe.